Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's ClaritySoft webinar. Today is Tuesday, November the 19th, 2019. I'm Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at ClaritySoft, and our topic for today is an introduction to building quotes and invoices using our new template builder. So we're going to cover creating a new template. The quotes and the invoices basically are the same. So once you know how to create a quote template, you can go to the sales module and follow the same steps to create an invoice template if you are using the sales module and creating invoices in ClaritySoft. But we will work on the basics of it, kind of a basic overview of the quote template itself, how it works, and then adding and editing a company logo and a couple of other images into the template, editing the items table where your line items are showing up, changing the headings, changing the formatting, and just making the template look the way you want it to look to fit your particular company. So that's what we'll be covering. It'll give you a good overview and give you a chance to go back and explore. It's possible in other software, perhaps in QuickBooks or something, you've used a similar type of template designer. This is actually from DevExpress, and so you might be familiar with some of the processes already. So let's go ahead and get started. And you can create these quotations in the settings module if you are an admin user in the database. But if you're not an admin user, and I think it's easier to do it this way anyway, you can go directly to the quotations module. And in the quotations module, you can pull up an existing template or a beginning template and then create your template here. And the reason I like to do it from here is that as you switch between what we call design view and preview to preview your quote and what it looks like, if you are actually working from an existing quotation with line items and data in it, then your preview shows that information and it gives you a better visual idea of how your quote looks. So this is what I would recommend. So in quotations, I've got a quotation here. I'm going to open it just to review the fields that are in here. And with your quotation module, you will have the account name and the contact person name, the quote number. You will have the quote date, and you can pull in the expiration date. So any of the fields that you see in your quote record, including custom fields, can be pulled into the quotation template. And so you just need to look at what you have here and then go. Also, you have your address here. This address automatically pulls from the account record. And if you need to have a separate or different shipping address, then you can click here and type a different ship to address, okay? If you have a ship to address in the account record, then that would be the address that would pull into the shipping address here, okay? If it needs to be different, just simply type something different and you're perfectly fine. So you can have two addresses pulling into the quote. The other thing that will pull into your quote will be your products and services. So your products and services perhaps could come from an opportunity that you created and had the products and services in that record, and you convert the opportunity to a quote. All of that transfers over along with all the other data, transfers over to create the quote record. And you can see I have some products in here already. I'm going to add a couple more just to show you that you can add any products and services. If you've got a price list in ClaritySoft, this is on coffee today. And I honestly don't know what ones I already have in here because I didn't look. Okay. So let's do Ethiopian decaf and this one. So add 2 more products, and then I can change the quantities. And again, it will multiply it out. So when I go back to my details tab, I will have my total here. If I need to charge tax, I can type a tax rate in. If not, just leave it. If I need to add shipping and handling, I can add that here as well. So once I've done that, I can click the Save button, and that will save the changes I've made to the record and leave the record open. From here, I can come up here to this vertical ellipsis button and go to quotation template. So that's one way to get to the quotation template. And actually pretty easy because I'm already in the record and I don't have to go search for it. The other way would be to do a save and close on the record, which will return me to my list of quotes. And once I get back to the list of quotes, the one that I happen to want is at the top of the list because I'm sorting by the creation date. And then I click on the row action button and can go to quotation template here. So either way gets you to the same location. It does not matter. When you get to this window, you have 2 categories of templates now. The old templates, which are the HTML code-based templates, which it's possible you might already have some templates based on these. These are still functional in ClaritySoft, but they are in the old HTML coding. And then the new templates. Now, if you haven't built any new templates at all, the only one that you're going to see here is quote template 1. So you want to click on that to select it and click OK. Then you come to this screen, change my company name. So you want to make sure that your company name and at least your name are filled in. And then any other information here that you know is being pulled into the quote template should be filled in. Once the sales rep fills this in, it will automatically stay there. So they do it once and it's automatically there. Okay, and then over here, this is just the margins that are being used within the template, which you can adjust if you need to. So what I want to, I spelled that wrong, do is preview my template. So this will bring up a preview of what the template looks like, and then from there we'll be able to go into design mode and modify the template and save it with a new name. So probably the first thing you want to do when you get here is magnify this. Up here you have a zoom in button which will zoom by 5%, or you can jump it to say 150%, which allows you to zoom in and see details more easily. So you can see here, I've got a place for a company logo, I've got quote, I've got the bill to is pulling in the address of the company and the contact person. It's shipped to has the address information, and then over here, I am the sales rep, my phone number is here, and then we have the date of the quote, the expiration date, and the quote number all pulling from the quote record. And then down here, we have our list of products with the quantity, the price, and then the total. And at the bottom, we have a subtotal, We do have a tax field here, which if I had entered tax into the record would be here, and then the total would be the subtotal plus the tax. So this is all here, and then at the bottom we have make all checks payable to company name, which will change to Midnight Espresso, and then we can format all of this, okay? So our goal is to make this fit the Midnight Espresso company, all right? So from here, we're going to go into designer mode, and you click this button on the toolbar. And now we see the design grid, and we see the fields that make up the template. So here, this bill to is basically a label field, but contact is a data field that's pulling in the contact data field. So all of these different fields here or boxes in the template are called controls. They control what you see in the template. And we can move controls around, we can add new controls, we can edit their font and things like that, change colors. So you can see here we have the different controls. Now, one thing I want to mention in these reports, if you look at the left side, you have different sections of the report. So up here is a margin area that you have. Then you have what's called a group header, and all of your information about the ship to and the bill to and all that information is in the group header, as well as the column headings for your detail items. And then the detail fields for your line items are in what's called the details section, okay? And then the group footer is below the details section, and then the actual page footer is at the bottom. So these are things, this is why we recommend you start with the quote one template and build from there, because then things get placed in the right sections. And it's a lot easier to build than creating one from scratch. So, but pay attention to these areas over here because things can land in the incorrect area sometimes. The other layout that you have up here is this toolbar. We have different things. This is cut and copy. This would be to delete a control if you wanted to. This is to undo and redo. This is your zoom. And then this one is your preview button that after you've made some changes, you can preview and go back to seeing what your quote actually looks like. And then this is a validate bindings you don't need to worry about. And then this is an exit button that would exit this template design without saving it. And up here, we have a button where we do want to save it, because since we're basing this on a built-in template, the first thing we want to do is give it a different name so we don't wipe out our original template. So I'm going to click on this 3 stack lines button, and I'm going to go to Save As. And then I'll take out quote template 1, and I'm going to call this Midnight. Okay, and this will show you a list of all the quotes that you currently have, so you can see, you know, that you need to spell it differently. So it at least shows you what you have, and then you click Save. So now I'm protecting myself. Any changes I make and save won't wipe out my original quote 1 that's here. All right, so rest of the screen, over here on this right-hand side, collapse this for a second, we have 3 buttons. This one is the Properties button, that when you click on a control over here and you expand this, this will tell you the properties for that control. So I can see that it is label 4, okay, but the data binding is a field from the quote record. So it is bound to a quote, and then this is how it appears. It can grow, it can shrink, it can wrap if it needs to wrap within its space that it's given. And then down here you have appearance, where you can change the font, the background color, border color, all of that, which we'll be working with, and the text alignment. So these are the things we will be working with. So any property option that you have is in this properties panel when you click on a control. So each control can have different properties set up for it. All right. So that's what that is. Then this button here is your actual field list, that if you wanted to add a different field to the template, you would go here to quotes 1. This will list all the my information fields, which would be my name, my address, that's in that first window there, that you can pull into the quote template. Then this lists all of your quote record fields without the item lines. So without your product item lines, so it would have all of your quote fields. And again, any field, including custom ones, can be pulled in. So they will all be listed here for you to be able to pull into the quote. And then if you need to pull in the item details, you would use this section. So this is all the fields that you can pull into your template. And we'll be doing that in a little bit. And then this one is called the Report Explorer. And when you click on a control, it tells you this is label 27, and I could edit it or I could delete it if I wanted to from here. So it basically has, it's in the group header, okay? And it has the different sections. So you can see the pieces, parts that are per section. You probably won't use this a whole lot unless you get really super duper sophisticated with this, but it does give you that layout. Okay, so the things that we want to do today is replace this logo. We want to add a couple of other graphics down here in this page footer section and change the text here. We want to change the name from quote to quotation and change the color. And then we want to move quantity over between description and unit price, and then change the color of the background here and reformat to different fonts and things. So that's what we are going to do. So the first thing, if we click on your company logo, over here in the properties, we see it's a picture box, and we want to change the image. So we click on the ellipsis button here for image, which goes to basically to Explorer, and I've already gone to the folder, so you'd have to go find the folder where your images are, and then you simply click on the image that you want and click open. So the image lands in the box, in the control, but we can see that it's too big. So you come back over here to your properties and you go to sizing. And under sizing, you have different options. I'm going to choose squeeze, which means squeeze it into the control. Whatever size it is, squeeze it in there. So that's there, and we're done with that. Okay, now if I wanted to make this a little bigger, I could just grab the corner and stretch it bigger, and then it will size itself according to the size of the control. All right, so that one's finished. Then I'm going to come down here, and the first thing that I want to do is to change this text here in this make all checks payable to company name, I want to put in Midnight Espresso here. So if you'll notice, when I click on this text control, there's no way for me to get in here and edit it. Where I have to edit it is over here in the properties box. So I come here and take out cannot type today. Midnight Espresso in there. And when I click back on the box, it will change it. So any editing that you do, and I spelled that wrong, will be done in the properties in this little text box. And this could be a whole paragraph that you might put in here. So, you know, you can put any kind of text in this box and it'll just take as much as you put in. So we've got that. Now, while I'm here, perhaps what I would like to do is change the font. And if I scroll down here, I have a section for font. When I click on it, it will expand and I can see that the font is Times New Roman. It's 9 point. And you can choose points, worlds, I don't even know what those are, pixels or inches. Most of us think in points because of Word. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It's also bold. And the color currently is black. So I can change the font. Now I also want to change the font for this box too. If I hold the control key down, I can click on the second box and now I have both of the controls selected. And then I can come over here and I might want to change this to sans serif. All right, now I have an issue because this is wrapping. So what I can do now is grab one of these side handles, and because both boxes are selected, it stretches both at the same time until I get them where I want them. The other control that I have here is the text alignment. Currently it's middle center. So middle means it's middle top to bottom and it's centered left to right. The other options you have here are top left, middle left, bottom left, so on and so forth. So you have all the possible combinations of where you want the text to appear in the box. And middle center is just fine. And then when I click away from this, then my properties, you know, go back to nothing at the moment. So my next step is to bring in an image to place on either side down here. And over here on the left side of the screen, we haven't really talked about this. And actually what I'm going to do now to be on the safe side, I'm going to click on this and save it. Always protects me from doing something stupid in the next move. I can go back. And over here we have different controls, other controls that we can bring into our template. This one is a picture box or image. So what you do is you just hold the mouse button down and drag, and it scrolls sort of, but I'm just going to drop this right here for now and then scroll down, and then I'm going to grab it again and push it right there. Then I can take and shrink it up so it's matching the distance of my text boxes here. And this is why you want to magnify things. If you work with this at just 100%, you'll drive yourself crazy. Notice the red lines that show up. Those are my alignment lines. So they're helpful in letting you do things, lining things up. So I got to scroll back up here. Oh, I guess I don't have to. And pull this over. And I'm going to lay one over here. And don't worry so much if you're the same distance. Now, look what happened here. I pushed it up too high. It's up in the group footer rather than down in the page footer. So just grab it and pull it down where you want it. And then you might have to shrink this back up. So you go to this divider line here and push that back up. Okay. And then again, click on the control, move it up to line up. All right. So now I need to insert my image in here. So I'm on this one and it's a picture box. So I need to go find the image that I want. And it's the beans, right. So again, I put it in here and the sizing is normal, but I'm going to do sizing squeeze. So it puts my beans in where I want them. And then I'm going to go over here and it's picture box 2. Go to image. And this one is beans left. And then size it to squeeze. So I have that in. Now, while this is selected, I can use my left, right, up and down arrow keys to move this over. So that I now have my beans next to my text that's in the footer. So let's say what I'd really like to do now is view this to see how it's looking. So first I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to come up here and click on the preview button. And when it previews, it will pull the actual data in from that quote record that I started from. And down here, I can see my graphics that have come in, and then there's the page number. So that all looks fine. So the next thing I need to work on is getting this quote. I want it to say quotation, and I want to make it a little smaller and change the font, and I want to change the color to a brown that is closer to the color of my logo. And then I want to adjust this here and get a brown color in there. So I go back to designer. And this time I'm going to click on the quote control. And I can come in here and type. I may not want it all caps. And again, when you click here, it changes it. Now notice again, it's chopping it off. So I need to stretch this. Also, it's left justified, and I think I would prefer to have it right justified in the box. So I'm going to go down here. And first of all, I'm going to change the font to the sans serif. It's 30 points. I'm going to make it maybe 25. Okay. Then I'm going to come down here to the text alignment. It's top left. And I'm going to make it middle right. So it's in the middle of the box. And it's right justified against the edge of the margin here. And then the last thing I want to do is change its color. So that's the foreground color. I'll click here. And then what you have to do is click about in this area here to get where you have some browns and golds. And then you just click to get a color, okay? Until you like the color. So you just kind of play around until you get your first color that you like. And then notice this number here. If you take a second and jot this down, then you can use that same number when you're formatting the color of other things. So I just jotted that down. When I click OK, I get this brown color. And then I would like to move this down. And rather than dragging, you can use your arrows, up, down, left, right. And I suppose if I wanted to, I could bring this box over a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so I've completed that. I'm going to go up and save it again. And then now we're going to learn something that can be really, really, really helpful. Because sometimes you might, if you create a quote from scratch, you might put these things in an order, and then later somebody says, well, it would be nice if we had the quantity over here by the unit price. It makes more sense. And the hard part is that this whole block here of the headings and the detail line items are basically all one block, okay? And so you can't manipulate it by just dragging things around like you can all these other fields. I can just move them anywhere I want, but this I can't do. So the little trick I'm going to teach you is what we want to do is move quantity and then the quantity field over here between description and unit price. So we can't drag it, we can't move it, but what we're going to do is we're going to click on unit price field, and you'll see the little handles here. Maybe I can magnify a little bit more. Does it want to magnify for me? Oh, there it goes. So that you can see this. And if I click on unit price, then I come over here to the properties. And these little tiny buttons here will say things like insert a row above, insert a row below, delete a row. And what you're looking for is to insert a column to the left. So we want to insert a column to the left, and you'll see it inserts a column there. Then we want to click on the pricing field and do the same thing. We want to insert a column to the left. So now we have space to put this. And then we're going to click on this field here, which basically is a label field. It's a table cell. And it says table cell 11, and we're just going to type quantity. Okay. That'll fix that. Now, I'm not worrying about the color just yet. And then here, what we need to put in this is an actual field. So I'm clicking on this to select it, and then I'm going to come over here to my field list, go to the quotation details with line items or item lines, scroll down until I see lines quantity. And I'm going to drag this and drop it on top. And what it does is it replaces the cell that's there and puts the quantity field in there. So I've done this. Now I can come over here and click on quantity over here, go back up to properties, and then I can delete a column. Then I do the same thing for the cell that's beneath, delete a column. So I have moved my quantity in my details area and my field to pull in that information. Now, the other problem I have here is this unit price has gotten squashed. So I want to give it some more room. So I'm going to click on the description field, and I'm going to control click on the field beneath it, and then grab a handle, drag to the left, which increases the size of the quantity field. Then I'm going to click on quantity, control click on the field, move it left, and now my unit price has a larger space. Okay. Now I want to format all of this, and I'm going to back this back down to 150. So I can get the whole row. So what I'm doing now, I want to select all of these. So I'm going to click on this one, hold control, keep it down, and then just while you're holding the control key, go across here and click to select all of them. Then I can come over here and I can choose a background color. And if I go to this number field here, I can type in that number I wrote down, 664808. So I get the same brown color. And then while they're still selected, I can change the font to the sans serif font. Okay. And I can go to the foreground color, which is showing black just because half, these are white, this one's black, so it's picking the black over the white. And then I go to this upper left corner of my color chart, and that's where my white is, and I click it. So now all of them have a brown background with white text. Then the next thing I probably want to do is select these guys here if I want to get their font all the same. I can come over here then and do the sans serif. So they should all be the same, and that should be fine. Okay. So I know what else I want to do. These two are fine left justified, but this one I think would look better if it was centered, and this one would probably be better centered, and this one, so we want to check the alignment on these. So if I click on the quantity and come down here to text alignment, it's top left. So I think I want it middle center. I think this one is middle. Or is it? Yeah, this is middle left. And then I want this one to be middle center. Okay, and then I think I want this one to be middle center as well. Oh, this is middle left, so I'm going to make it middle center. Now the other one that I probably want to do is the actual quantity. I want to check its alignment. It's in top left. So I think for quantity, I'm going to make it top center perhaps. What is this one? I don't remember if the rest of these are top or middle. So you just look and see what your others are. This is middle left, so I want this one to be middle center. Okay. Because otherwise they'll be jagged when they line up going across. So this is going to be middle center. So again, you just work your way across, look at the alignments and all of that, and then save it. And then you can preview it again. So I have my quotation here is lined up more with my logo. I changed the font. I changed the quantity over here. And I might want to take unit price and total price and make them right justified to line up with the numbers. Again, what happens, you start working with these things and you get more picky. The more you learn, the more picky you get and you view it until you get it right. So you just go back to your design mode and decide what changes you want to make or need to make. But you get the general idea on how to do it. You click on a control and then you can make adjustments in the property window. And you've got a lot of things to do here, so just play with it. Recently, with someone I'm working with, we created a quote that has the quote with the line item detail at the beginning, and then they have about a 5-page license agreement that's after that, that pulls in additional fields from the quote record, like the name of the company and the date of the quote, and it all incorporates it into the contract. So they've got it all in one document that they can send at the same time. So I would do, I would also change my fonts on all of these. Now, one of the things you can try here is dragging across. And as long as you start inside of the margin area, see, I got all of my cells all in one without using control click. And then I could change all of these to the sans serif very quickly, so all in one step. So you can explore with that. Since it worked, I'll save it. Once you're done, now here's another thing to pay attention to. When you open this design template, you get another tab up here. And so once you're done, you want to save it, then you close this tab and it returns you back to this window because you're in the process of sending the quote, even though you're designing it. So if all you wanted to accomplish today was to design the quote template, then at this point you can click cancel. But if you're now ready to send the quote, maybe send a test one, then you can immediately go to email and it will have the email address of the contact person. It has this email already in here, but you certainly can type whatever else you want in here to personalize it, and then your quote template will be attached as a PDF. So if I click send, then this is going to email to the person. A copy of the email will be saved under the closed activities tab with the attached quote, and then you will wait until I receive it here. So very simple. I mean, taking time with the quote design, and maybe there's some people on staff that are better at it than you are. So open this. Here's my email. Has come in. It says hello Lisa. So it pulls it in. And then if I double click on this, here is my quote. Oops. Attached the wrong one. How did that happen? I must have started with the wrong quote. Okay, my fault. I'll have to do that one again. But anyway, oh, I know what happened. I know what happened because I went back to that other window. I know what happened. Let me cancel this. Yeah, you get too many windows open up here and you get the wrong thing. So I know what happened. So go back to here. Here's my Midnight Espresso quote. It was sending me quote 1 template. That's what happened. So you won't make the same mistake. I always have to make at least one mistake in a webinar. So that will come, and then I'll get it. One thing I will mention here, because this is new, we have just created an integration with Adobe Sign, which allows you to send quotations to a customer and then have them electronically sign them, and then they return back to you. So we just released that functionality. If you're interested in that, then you can talk to your account rep, and that person would be happy to talk to you and show you how it works. It's really pretty nice. You have to sign up with Adobe Sign's enterprise version, and then you get an API key that connects ClaritySoft to, and we have to turn the functionality on in your database, but you get an API key that then connects the two together so that then you can send a quote via Adobe Sign, and then it has a signature line at the bottom of the quote for the person to electronically sign it and return it back to you to accept the quote. So there's the right quotation that went out in the email. All right. Okay. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, I guess now's the time to ask them. And I do see that someone has asked the question. So, does the live quote builder have any significant upgrades from the offline version? You know, I don't know. This is using DevExpress, which I believe the offline version is as well. It should work similarly. I don't know if there are any significant, additional features. I would assume there probably are, because I don't know what version of DevExpress is being used in offline, but this would be the newest version here in live. That would probably be a tech support question to ask them. They would know what the versions are. So hopefully that helps you. All right. So I guess we're finished. So first of all, thanks for attending. This one is kind of a fun one to do because it involves designing things. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, call our tech support team at 888-838-7487, extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com, and they'll be happy to help you. And then ideas for new webinars, topics, critiques, questions to info@claritysoft.com. And with that, I will let you go and have a good rest of your day. And happy Thanksgiving for next week.